We gonna build cabins here and tent your in here.
I am the owner.
You can't do that.
You ever get the feeling that peace doesn't last long in suburbia? That's exactly how it started for me, quiet. My name's Mark Jensen, and I own a small island at the edge of Cedar Lake, just outside of a gated community called Silver Pines HOA. It's not huge, maybe 20 acres, but it's my retreat. My late grandfather bought it back in the 1940s, long before Silver Pines even existed. The land's been passed down in my family ever since. I grew up fishing there, camping under the stars, and fixing up the one old cabin that still stands in the middle of it all. Now, here's the thing, the island technically sits within view of the HOA's lakefront homes. And that, apparently, made it a target. I didn't know it yet, but the HOA board, led by their new president, Nancy Barrett, had their eyes on it. It started small. One morning, I was out checking my property line, and I noticed survey flags, orange plastic markers, running along the shoreline. At first, I thought the county was updating maps or running water checks. But when I called the county office, they said no one from their department had been there in months. That's when I knew something was off. A week later, I saw a barge on the lake, not a fishing boat, not a private pontoon, a construction barge. And on it were pallets of lumber, concrete bags, and 3 men in neon vests unloading materials, right onto my island. I took my binoculars and nearly choked on my coffee. They were building. On my land. I got in my old fishing boat and motored over. One of the men, tall, maybe mid-40s, waved like I was some curious neighbor. "Morning. You here to see the cabins?" he called. I blinked. "Cabins? What cabins? This is my property." He frowned, clearly confused. "No, sir, this is part of the new Silver Pines expansion. We're contracted by the HOA. 16 lakefront cabins for vacation rentals." I swear, my pulse stopped for a second. 16 cabins? I said slowly. "On this island?" He nodded, flipping open his clipboard. "Says here, Silver Pines Lakeside District. Authorized by President Nancy Barrett." That's when I knew I had to fight back. I marched straight to the Silver Pines HOA office that afternoon. The glass door had the kind of logo that screams suburban royalty. Inside, Nancy Barrett sat behind a mahogany desk, phone pressed to her ear, manicured nails tapping the armrest like a metronome. When she saw me, she smiled that politician's smile, all teeth, no warmth. "Mr. Jensen. What a surprise. How can I help you?" "You can start by explaining why there's construction happening on my island," I said, keeping my voice level. Her smile didn't falter. "Oh, the development? Yes, that's part of our new lake recreation initiative. The community voted last quarter to expand. On private land?" I interrupted. "My land?" She tilted her head. "Oh, Mr. Jensen, that land falls under our management area now. It's been zoned as part of Silver Pines Lake since the annexation agreement last year." I frowned. "Annexation agreement? I didn't sign anything." She laughed, actually laughed. "Well, you must have missed the notice. It was in our community newsletter." I couldn't believe what she said next. "The board approved it unanimously. So, technically, your island is now part of our HOA property plan. But don't worry, we'll maintain it beautifully, you might even get a discount on your community fees." I leaned forward, voice calm but sharp. "Nancy, if you build one more nail on that island, you're going to regret it." Of course, she didn't listen. Over the next 2 months, construction continued, not just 1 or 2 cabins, but an entire village of them. 16 turned into 20, then 32. They even built docks, picnic areas, and a large sign that read, "Silver Pines Lake Cabins, opening soon." I kept quiet. No calls, no confrontations. Instead, I started gathering. I went to the county registrar and pulled up every title deed, survey map, and ownership record related to that land. And there it was, clear as day. The island, labeled Parcel 14B, was still under Mark Jensen, inherited owner, recorded 1983. No mention of annexation. No HOA rights. Nothing. Then, I hired a land surveyor and a property attorney. We found that the HOA's annexation map was nothing more than a digitally edited image, drawn by someone on their design team. No legal filing, no boundary adjustment, no county approval. It was fake. Completely fabricated. 3 months later, Silver Pines HOA hosted a grand opening celebration for their new, community lake cabins. They had banners, balloons, food trucks, the whole suburban spectacle. Nancy was up on stage, microphone in hand, bragging about community investment and shared lakeside living. I sat in my boat, about 50 feet offshore, camera rolling, watching it unfold. The crowd cheered. Kids ran around the new docks. The HOA members took pictures. That's when my attorney, Lisa Chen, a no-nonsense property law expert, walked up the hill behind the crowd with 2 sheriff's deputies. The mic squealed as Nancy turned to see them. "Mrs. Barrett," Lisa called out, voice crisp. "By order of the county court, you and the Silver Pines HOA are hereby issued an immediate cease and vacate order for illegal construction and trespass on private land." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Nancy's face went pale. "What is this nonsense?" she snapped. "This is community property." Lisa held up the court documents. "This property belongs solely to Mr. Mark Jensen. Every structure, dock, and fixture built here is now under his ownership by virtue of the fixture clause in state property law." Nancy stammered, "That's impossible. We spent hundreds of thousands." "And now," Lisa said smoothly, "you'll need to remove yourselves from Mr. Jensen's property immediately. Or the sheriff will do it for you." The crowd went silent. I couldn't help it, I smiled. They had built me 32 fully furnished cabins, for free. Over the next week, chaos hit Silver Pines like a storm. Homeowners demanded answers. The HOA board held emergency meetings, but there was no saving it. The court order stood firm. The cabins were mine, legally, since they'd been built without authorization on my land. And because they were classified as permanent fixtures, they couldn't be removed. Nancy tried everything, appeals, claims of public benefit, even accusations of fraud, but it all crumbled once the judge saw the forged annexation documents. In the end, Silver Pines HOA was ordered to pay $180,000 in damages for trespassing and unauthorized development. Cover all legal fees. Issue a public apology in the local paper. Nancy Barrett resigned, for personal reasons, a week later. A month later, I went back to the island, my island, to look at what they'd built. The cabins gleamed under the afternoon sun, lined neatly along the water's edge. I decided not to demolish them. Instead, I converted them into eco-lodges and opened them as Jensen Lake Retreats, a small, quiet getaway spot for local visitors. Funny enough, I even hired some former HOA members to help manage bookings. They were good people, they just followed the wrong leader. One day, I was sitting on the porch of the main cabin when a familiar car pulled up on the mainland road. Nancy Barrett stepped out, sunglasses on, clearly hoping no one would notice her. She walked to the dock and called out, "Mark. Can we talk?" I nodded, motioning her over. She looked around at the cabins. "You really turned this place into something." "Yeah," I said, sipping my coffee. "Thanks for the construction work." Her face tightened, but she said quietly, "You won. I hope you're happy." I looked her straight in the eye. "Nancy, I didn't win. I just kept what was already mine. It's been a year since then. The cabins are thriving. The island's peaceful again. And the HOA? They've been under new management, a little humbler this time. Sometimes I get visitors who ask about the story. They want to know how one homeowner beat an entire HOA. I tell them the truth. I didn't fight with anger. I fought with patience, and proof. Because when someone builds their empire on arrogance and lies, all you need to do is wait. The truth always takes it back. Never underestimate the power of patience and paperwork. Arrogance builds fast, but justice stands longer.